News Central now at this hour begins in the west of the African continent, where civil society organizations in northern Nigeria have written to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu stating that the withdrawal of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso in the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, poses a big security concern. In the letter they jointly signed, the CSOs said the withdrawal of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso poses a direct threat to the collaborative efforts required to combat regional security challenges. ECOWAS had suspended Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger Republic following military takeover of power in the three countries. According to the letter, Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, particularly Mali and Niger, are critical in the fight against terrorism and insurgency, given their geographical positioning and also the nature of cross-border security threats. The CSOs expressed concern that ECOWAS, under Tinubu's leadership, creates the perception that the organization might be implementing a script influenced by external imperialist interests, particularly from former colonial powers like France. Meanwhile, people in Bamako, the capital of Mali, have shared their views on the announcement on January 28th that their country, along with two other neighbors, that's Niger and Burkina Faso, has quit the West African bloc, ECOWAS. Speaking to journalists, some of the residents see the three countries' decision as a welcome development. The African Union had expressed deep regret over the decision by the military regimes in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger to withdraw from the West African bloc. The three countries, which have shared tense ties with the association since the coups, announced their decision in a joint statement on Sunday.
Un communiqué n'est pas une décision, encore que le communiqué lui-même n'est pas signé des chefs d'État, mais des ministres porte-parole du gouvernement. Pour ce qui est du cas du Mali, même là, un porte-parole va rendre compte des travaux du gouvernement. Et figurez-vous, c'est le lendemain du communiqué que le gouvernement s'est réuni pour prendre acte. On ne peut pas se retirer de la CEDEAO sans délai. Il y a la période probatoire d'une année qui est à observer. Et même cela, c'est quand même sur la base d'une décision.
Kololo ko ko ni ya damine kana fuko kololo tara kololo tumbara ka koro parce que ka boya ka ta Ghana c'est daw papier bi bolo ibe wari sarali damine Mali frontière ra Burkina frontière ra Ghana frontière ra ka passeport to ibolo ka 42 Mali 42 to ibolo ibe wari sara fuka tisi ibe ta minanta Europe donc an kumbe c'est daw kono an to do ka mba kono donc mo kana fo ki bi joro ora ko o te joro nan ko ere antume nyegwan kono depuis ambassadeur ame nyegwan kono donc nan borara o nyegwan gele de do donc amba a bla minami kono dron beki chesri kafara nyonga.
To discuss this story and the potential security consequences, we are joined by Kopeb Dabogat, an African international affairs analyst. He is currently the General Secretary of the West African Civil Society Forum, all the way from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time, Kopeb.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what are your initial thoughts on the announced exit of these three strategic countries from the group?
Well, thank you very much. I would say, first of all, that the exit of this group, these three countries, no doubt generates a lot of concern among citizens of West Africa generally, and even among, of course, the government, because this is 49 years down the line of, incremental progress in regional integration, and these countries just wake up one day and just declare that they have left. It's not something to joke with. However, they've declared that they have left, and leaving means now the regional economic bloc is fractured, meaning that several of the progress and the gains achieved within these 49 years of regional integration in the West African bloc has been thrown to complete, shambles. So where do we start from? I think if really they're allowed to leave, then the implications are great, both for the citizens, for the West African bloc, for the African bloc, and even on the international scene. The geopolitical configuration of world politics will also experience some adjustment. From the aspect of the citizens, they are more concerned about their lives and livelihoods. We've seen how the sanctions in these on these three countries have actually contributed, to downturns in the economic situation of the people, as well as in the standard of living. I mean, the sanctions have practically, rendered more people poorer in the countries, rendered more people lacking access to critical medicines. It is also, particularly for Niger, caused days and hours of power outages. So these sanctions have actually affected the citizens very, very badly. So you can imagine why citizens are having a sort of somehow in between the lines supportive comments, to the exit. However, this exit was not the result of a consultative process that actually gauged the views of the people. But it was just a declaration that perhaps the juntas in these three countries sat and decided to hastily.
All right, let's look at the security implication of this particular exit. Now, how might the departure of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic impact when it comes to the collective response to security challenges, considering the crucial role, these countries play, particularly in addressing cross-border threats such as terrorism and insurgency as we have it?
Yes, these three countries are located in the Sahel. I think it's only Burkina Faso that seems to be a little bit on the edge of the Sahel. But these countries are, a large chunk of the Sahel. And the fact is that the Sahel has a lot of ungovernable spaces, ungoverned spaces, in not easily accessible spaces, in which criminals, terrorists, rebels, so-called separatists, find it easy to hide. So them withdrawing, and also giving the capacity they have individually or even collectively as three countries to handle these security threats are not in doubt. So there are fears that these security threats will spill over and accelerate into, the Gulf of Guinea side of the West African region towards the coast. So, the implications are huge because we've also, at the level of ECOWAS, the community has put in place several mechanisms to ensure that these security threats are contained and addressed. But given this development now, it means the cooperation between these countries and ECOWAS may have to cease if they're allowed to continue on this path of exit.
But don't you think that don't you think, sorry to interrupt, don't you think that would further deepen the security challenges in that region, even though we understand that some of these countries are looking to, well, I call it the countries like Russia for assistance, when it comes to beefing up their security architecture and all of that. But don't you think that this would further deepen the insecurity, situation that we have along that border, knowing fully well that they are not part of a sub-region that, even though, yes, a core of their cooperation is economic, but security also plays a pivotal role?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, this development would actually deepen the security challenges. In fact, it is already deepening, particularly from the angle of Mali. Looking at on Thursday last week, Mali, withdrawing or canceling the peace deal that was agreed to with the Tuaregs, with the Tuareg fighters in the north. That was agreed, that was brokered by Algeria since 2015. This is a significant, reversal of an arrangement that was already in place. Now the separatists, Tuaregs, have made their declarations that they have to continue fighting because the Malian government has given them no choice. They are not willing to negotiate with them, and they are saying they want to establish a new peace process when there was already something on board. So we wouldn't be surprised to see heightened fighting in Mali over the next few weeks, but we do not pray for that. What we pray for is to see that these three countries are back to the negotiating table with ECOWAS and seeking particularly to resolve whatever disagreements or grievances they may have. Just before I end this response, we as civil society organizations, particularly under the banner of the West African Civil Society Forum, had at some point, I think in December, just ahead of the December, I think 10th summit, we sent a letter actually to ECOWAS to request ECOWAS reverse these sanctions that have been imposed on these countries because they are harsh and they're causing difficulties for the citizens. Not just that, but having several implications even for the regional economy.
So I'm sorry, but so how would you rather ECOWAS handled the situation if not, imposing sanctions?
Well, I think there are established processes towards addressing these sanctions. I mean, for example, I would have expected that the three countries, given their grievances, would have first of all headed to the Community Court of Justice, even though, of course, they are under suspension, but they can attempt to go to the Community Court of Justice and try to seek redress. That's one. Secondly, they may also try to carry out a consultative process with their citizens to see what way to go rather than hastily going on with this decision. And thirdly, we have no doubt that if ECOWAS would revise and even remove all the economic sanctions, these situations will be, the negotiation table will look more brighter, for the three countries to come back to it. So I think this is an issue of negotiations, and I would here also call on the African Union to put a lot of pressure on the ECOWAS, on these three countries, and bring them to the negotiating table. All right.
Kopeb Dabogat, an African affairs analyst, of course, also the General Secretary of the West African Civil Society Forum from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you, and have a nice evening.
All right. Let's head to Nigeria, where the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede, has revealed the agency's discovery of a religious sect laundering money for terrorists. Now, speaking during a public forum on youth, religion, and the fight against corruption, as well as the launch of the Fraud Risk Assessment Project for ministries, departments, and agencies, Olukoyede disclosed that EFCC was investigating a 13 billion naira fraud case, with 7 billion naira traced to a religious group's account. He emphasized the widespread involvement of religious entities in money laundering, as the EFCC boss vowed to pursue justice and recover stolen funds, despite facing legal barriers from probing the religious organization's leaders. Now, the one-day event is aimed at addressing the challenges of youth involvement in cyber crimes and how religion can be used as a weapon for their reorientation. To discuss this, we are joined by public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, thank you so much for your time.
How are you? Happy New Month.
Happy New Month. All right, now let's start off with specific details, as regards what the chairman provided regarding the religious sect discovered by the, agency laundering money for terrorists. How does this relate to the ongoing investigation of a 13 billion naira fraud case?
Well, they are intertwined. According to the chairman yesterday, they were actually investigating a money laundering case, and they discovered that 7 billion out of that 13 billion was laundered in a religious sect account. Maybe the chairman was being circumspect. It would have been ideal to mention the religious sect, but he kept that under wrap and said that the religious sect actually got a restraining order, and that worries me. I think our judges needs to show caution, issuing ex parte order, restraining order, and all of this. They are causing confusion, and they are eating up the quality. I mean, there should be a sufficient ground before you just give a restraining order. If they have nothing to hide, why are they getting court injunction to stop EFCC from probing the laundering of that 7 billion? I think, like I said, chairman of EFCC was trying to err on the side of caution by not mentioning names, believing that if he does, maybe it's going to there will be a backlash. But unfortunately, we look up to religious institutions as one institution that can help with the reorientation, the rearmament, the remodeling of society. But when you have religious leaders now helping with money laundering and engaging in corrupt practices, it's worrisome. That means the salvation of Nigerian citizens is elsewhere, not with our religious leaders. And I once wrote in my column in The Punch about spiritual corruption. And this is one good example of such spiritual corruption, when religious leaders are using their religious centers to corruptly enrich themselves. It is very damning. It is very worrisome for me that we are allowing, situations like this is existing at all. It's a different ballgame when you embezzle church fund or money belonging to your mosque or religious center. But to now accept, money from terrorist organizations to help them launder it so that it could become a safe haven for money, blood money, as I may want to call it, it then is very, very worrisome.
But I just want to cut in and ask. I mean, is it right to say that this development is new? Because we know that many of these religious organizations, are registered, I think, under the CSE as NGOs, so they are hardly scrutinized, right? In fact, they are maybe not even audited by the government or corporate bodies, except maybe they choose to do it internally. So the aspect of accountability, particularly from a very structured point of view, is almost not there. Do we see a situation whereby, because of this revelation, in the coming days, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, the government will start to beam some sort of a serious searchlight in many of these religious organizations and their finances?
Well, I don't know if you are aware of the Corporate Affairs Commission amended Act 2020. There is already provision for accountability periodic reporting, I think every 6 months or every
I'm very
year.
much aware of it. I'm aware of that. I think that even sparked a debate when it came out, amongst churches,
Yeah,
and of course there was quite a lot of reaction.
The religious organizations actually kicked against this. I
Yes.
recall, I don't want to also mention it. There are some religious leaders that actually
Prominent
came out
ones.
smoking. Prominent religious leaders coming out smoking to say, what is your business in how we run our churches and all of that. Even there are some NGOs that also kicked against it. So this has so further shown that what Buhari did in 2020 was not a misplaced issue, and that there is a need for accountability by these religious leaders and religious centers.
But do you see the implementation of that amended act? Do you see it happening? Because we also understand that quite a number of these leaders are influential.
Yeah, they are very influential because religious matters are issues that you handle with caution. Given the Nigeria is more like the headquarters of spiritual centers in Africa, if not in the world, given the number of other religious leaders from across the globe that comes. Look at the case of Synagogue Church of Nations and the former presidents of other African countries that even had to come on religious visit, not even for state functions, that came to synagogue for spiritual cleansing or spiritual fortification, as it were. So these religious leaders are very influential. There's no doubt about that. All our political leaders, whether they are Christians or Muslims, belong to one religious sect or the other. And that is why issues of accountability, whoever wants to tread is like treading where angels fear to walk, and you need to really to be very careful. But I want to encourage Mr. Olukoyede, the chairman of EFCC, not to be daunted. If he's on the right of truth, God will be with him, he will overcome. Because we cannot, look at the kind of the fight against terrorism that Nigeria is currently waging. And you will now have terrorists hiding their loot in religious, in accounts, in bank accounts of religious organizations, so that it becomes a protected fund. And this is money that they make through dubious means, through inhuman means, through ungodly means. And I think that President Bola Tinubu should give very strong backing to this, anti-corruption leadership, our anti-corruption leaders, whether it's ICPC or EFCC or Code of Conduct Bureau, that it gives them protection. Even though we know that EFCC chair has been like, what's it called now? It's been none of the previous chairmen or chairwoman of EFCC have ever finished their tenure.
All right, Judy.
And that may be at the back of Olukoyede when he's doing this. But I think President Tinubu should encourage him to go all out. And whichever religious organization is found to be aiding and abetting money laundering and terrorism financing should not be allowed to go scot-free. If we don't do this, we are all endangered. Endangered. It's so unfortunate that this revolution came.
We can only hope that, of course, the EFCC chairman is able to actually nip this in the bud, given the fact that he is also a clergyman himself. Right, but we'll of course keep our eyes on this story. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst.
Happy New Month, Dako. Stay safe and stay blessed.
All right. Now to security matters, where several persons have been reportedly killed in a fresh attack on the Ogboju community in the Agatu local government area of Benue State, north central Nigeria. Now, while conflicting reports throw the exact number of casualties, it was reported that 9 persons died in the latest violence in the north-central state. The attack, which happened on Wednesday night, was carried out by suspected headsmen. A former deputy chairman of Agatu local government, that's John Ikwulona, said 9 corpses were recovered after the attack. The Benue State government and the police authority are yet to confirm the latest attack. governor of Zamfara State in Nigeria's northwest, Dauda Lawal Dari, has inaugurated a 2,600-strong vigilante force to combat violent criminal gangs terrorizing the region. Zamfara State is one of the several states plagued by criminals known as bandits, who raid and loot villages, kill residents, and also burn houses to the ground. Gangs mounting a camp in a huge forest straddled Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, and Niger states have carried out mass kidnappings of students from schools in recent years. Zamfara previously banned vigilante groups over concerns that they were driving the cycle of violence, and experts have voiced fears. But authorities say the new outfit has undergone thorough training to prevent abuses. Let's move to electoral matters now, where the People's Democratic Party in Plateau State has been excluded from participating in the February 3rd National Assembly rerun elections in the state. This is coming less than 48 hours to the election in 6 local government areas in the state. News Central's Chizoba Nonwe tells us more.
The announcement was made on Thursday morning when INEC officials with the media went to the Central Bank of Nigeria in the state to confirm sensitive and non-sensitive materials that had arrived on Wednesday for onward dispatchment to the council areas where the elections will hold. INEC maintained that the development is beyond their control unless otherwise stated by the court.
As at now, PDP cannot participate in this election. This is the law. It is not INEC's making. It is the law of the land. Once the Supreme Court rules, whether it is right or wrong, you have to obey that rule. And this is why we printed our ballot papers without PDP.
Stakeholders of the PDP had expressed displeasure over what is believed to be the fault of the electoral body.
Don't take us for granted in this country. You have been opportune to hold positions, but you are perpetrating illegalities. Is that the oath of office you've taken? Is that what the Constitution says? Let's see how you do it.
Why? Who gave you the powers to exclude PDP? Go back and read those your laws. It is unacceptable to us as a party, and we won't. We won't. And when I say we won't, I will not complete the rest. It seems INEC is part of the insecurity that is killing our people in Plateau State, because you don't know the implication of what you've done today.
If the fragile peace in the state must be maintained, then everything possible must be done to uphold it.
As a body of political parties on the Plateau, we agreed to support each other. Let us all participate in the elections. We prefer peace on the Plateau than elections or anything. We need peace. You know how fragile the issue of peace is on the Plateau.
Meanwhile, electoral materials have been handed over to INEC, who confirmed them and has given a go-ahead for dispatch of same to the various council areas. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyowe.
Election stakeholders in Nigeria have called on the nation's legislature to ensure the speedy resolution of election disputes. They say they want disputed cases resolved before winners of elections in the country are sworn in. Now, our correspondent Joseph Idong compiled this report.
The election adjudication process is almost over, mainly in disagreement with the conduct of Nigeria's general elections and the result declared by the nation's electoral body. Despite Nigeria's apex court finally resolving many of the disputes before it, there are many who think there are areas in the process that need improvements.
Key findings were that transparency and access to information was a little bit open, but again, very challenging. So we need to ensure and engage tribunal secretaries going forward in the future so that we can have some level of access. The second thing we found out were bureaucracy in terms of accessing information, and this bureaucratic process particularly inhibited our trained observers from accessing relevant public documents at the Election Petition Tribunal in most states. The tribunal secretaries oftentimes will refer you to the appeal court in Abuja to go and secure permission.
Despite election disputes not new to Nigeria, advocates are calling for a review of legislation bordering on the timing for the conclusion of these disputes. They say they want laws enacted that will compel political office holders removed by the courts to refund benefits received while in office.
All electoral disputes must be concluded before the swearing in of a particular political office holder. And the reason why this is so is that taxpayers' monies are actually draining on a regular.
If they can do that, it will help us. Secondly is that when you look at it, when somebody, how many people, I don't know, they need to come and tell us that have been sworn in and they have stayed in office for a number of maybe months or even years. And how many of them have we had that they have returned the money they collected? And the person who is supposed to be the beneficiary, not in the terms of governor, but in terms of the members, were they able to pay them?
I think it shouldn't have been in the first instance. So these are kind of signals that we're worried about, and I'm happy that we hope that when we share this document, and I know a number of civil society have done review of the whole electoral circle, that the government will listen to us, and together we'll be partners in reviewing the electoral process and make it more acceptable, and less persons will go to court.
The recent contradictory judgment by the court also raised concerns about the integrity of the judiciary. Stakeholders here said the judiciary must assert its independence to really be the hope of the common man. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
The Nigerian government has reiterated the safety of HPV vaccine. The vaccine prevents cervical cancer, a disease which kills thousands of Nigerian women every year. Many women and parents have expressed fears that the vaccine might be unsafe and have been rumored to cause infertility and paralysis. And this fear has resulted in hesitancy towards the vaccine. Now, News Central's Adeshawa Udushoga tells us more.
Since the rollout of the HPV vaccine in Nigeria in October 2023, targeting more than 7 million teenage girls, the government is still dealing with convincing concerned parents about the safety of the vaccine. Citing information from social media, many parents have alleged that the vaccine is likely deadly or may affect fertility.
Mi ò lè gba abẹ́rẹ́ àjẹsára yẹn. Ìdí ni wípé wọ́n sọ wípé wọ́n fẹ́ dí wa kù ní Nàìjíríà, torí ẹ̀ ni mi ò ṣe lè gbà.
I cannot take it. What I'm hearing about it, one of my friends showed me his phone, and the woman was saying it, say this nation is full of crowd of people. They won't make some people to reduce.
Public health expert Dr. Philip Njemanze, in an exclusive interview with News Central, alleged that this vaccine has been shown to cause paralysis and sometimes infertility among the demography of people targeted.
The producer of that vaccine was sanctioned severally by the regulatory body for suppressing this information about side effects of this vaccine. And this has happened, this is an open record for people to look at.
However, speaking at a recent event in Lagos, the Immunization Program Coordinator for Lagos State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Akinpelu Akintola, reiterated the safety and availability of this vaccine.
For every girl between the ages of 9 to 14, actually would have the opportunity to have the vaccine. It's free of charge, it's safe, it's effective.
Similarly, the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency re-emphasized the safety of the brand of HPV vaccine in Nigeria, urging concerned parents to shun social media propaganda.
It is our responsibility as scientists to make sure that we investigate these side effects and link it up with, the purported vaccine. What we know, what has been scientifically proven, is the fact that Gardasil is safe, it is effective, and it provides long-term protection against the virus.
While multiple scientific studies have shown no evidence that the HPV vaccine causes infertility, it appears that the government would need more campaigns and activism to allay fears surrounding the vaccine to win the fight against cervical cancer in Nigeria. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshawa Udushoga.
The United Nations Right Chief said on Thursday he was appalled by the alleged summary execution of 25 persons by Mali's army and foreign military personnel last week in a region plagued by militant insurgency. Volker Turk also expressed alarm at the killing of around 30 persons in attacks at the weekend in central Mali, a particular hotbed of violence. According to United Nations chief, the body is appalled by credible allegations that Malian army forces, accompanied by foreign military personnel, summarily executed at least 25 persons in Walingara village in the central Nara region on the 26th of January. It decried reports that about 30 civilians were killed in attacks by yet unidentified gunmen on two other villages, Agara and Ombe, in the Bandiagara region over the past week. News Central now continues in Southern Africa, where Zimbabwean opposition politician and government critic Job Shikala has shared his feelings on being released. The politician, who was freed this week after more than a year and a half in prison, narrated how tough it was in prison and spoke of his desire to find out why he was punished. The popular government critic was one of the most prominent figures to be arrested in recent years in what rights group have described as a crackdown on dissident in the southern African country. A former lawmaker, Shikala was convicted of inciting public violence last week at the end of a year-long trial that supporters said was politically motivated.
So when I firstly arrived, some of my children cried. It was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable story to me, because this is the father whom they have not been with for the past period of nearly 2 years. I need to rest. You have to understand that I was living in solitary confinement, a very difficult situation, in a 2.5 meters by 1 meter cell. It was not.
Up north, Moroccan police have arrested 30 persons suspected of involvement in a child trafficking ring targeting newborn babies. The First National Police, in collaboration with Morocco's Territory Surveillance Services, said those arrested include 18 security officers, a doctor, 2 nurses, healthcare professionals, and intermediaries. Preliminary investigation findings revealed that some of those arrested are accused of functioning as intermediaries in the selling of newborn babies, collaborating with single mothers for financial benefit, and arranging adoptions for the families seeking children. Others are suspected of extorting patients for medical visits, illegally facilitating abortions, and issuing medical certificates with inaccurate information. South Africa has hosted the Kalahari Arts and Heritage Festival, an annual event in the Northern Cape province that celebrates the indigenous San communities of South Africa. The festival is a celebration of all the arts and the rich cultural history of this unique region. With dance, music, culture, and history, all this breeds the reconnection of both historical and geographical diverse in the Southern African region culture. Now, News Central's Bongani Siziba tells us more.
Once again, the heart of the Kalahari Desert came alive to celebrate the magnificence of the San arts and heritage. As the sun set on the sprawling desert, a magical atmosphere enveloped the night. The indigenous San groups congregated around a campfire, filling the air with an aura of excitement and camaraderie. With the stars as their audience and the ancient spirit of the desert as their witnesses, the groups engaged in a friendly dance battle, each group taking turns, offering glimpses of their unique cultural heritage while testing each other's dance moves before the day of the festival.
It is important or imperative to preserve the San culture, that it originates from Namibia. We took it from Namibia, but we are doing it our way in Botswana, and we are proud to be saving it for the younger generation. The future of tomorrow lies in our hands as the youngsters.
As the sun rose, the festival kicked off with an explosion of color and rhythm as the anticipation for the spectacle that awaited. The residents of the Kalahari surrounding villages eagerly gathered to feast their eyes and immerse themselves in a day of vibrant dance performances, captivating drama, and unforgettable exchange of culture. With the performances from various cultural groups painting a vivid tapestry of African traditions and folklore, the Kalahari Arts and Heritage Festival provided a platform for these incredible artists to share their narratives and to remind each other of the enduring spirit of their indigenous San ancestors. First on the dance floor was the Botswana group with their energetic dance moves and intricate footwork that took the audience on a soul-stirring journey with beautiful choreographed steps that resonated with passion and emotions, leaving the crowd spellbound.
The dance which we are dancing, it's of our parents. So we feel so alive if we dance those dances. If I dance those dances, it's happiness because it's my culture.
Between performances, participants engaged in conversations, sharing stories and experiences, connecting on a deeper level beyond language barriers. This exchange of knowledge and cultures has become a cherished bond.
Every move that we do tells you a story. It tells what the Nama people do, what their culture is, and how they do things back in their way. So yeah, we go back to research to how they do that things, and then we take that information and we do our dance.
As the festival reached its climax, the stage became a melting pot of cultures, merging diverse traditions and creating a harmonious blend of dance music and overflowing joy. But it was the Namibian cultural group that truly stole the hearts of many. Their performance was a delicate interplay of traditions and modernity. With every step, they showcased the resilience of their people, telling stories of their cultural journey through time. Their spirited energy and effortless grace left the audience awestruck as they immersed themselves in the beauty unfolding before them.
These Nama dances actually means a lot to us. Our elders back then, our ancestors used to dance whenever they were happy about every single thing. They were happy when it was raining. For every single thing, they kept on dancing. And it seemed to us that all these things is just coming to an end. We saw the demise of our culture and tradition. So we decided to form these groups.
There's no one after our parents and all those people are dying. So there's nothing for us left. So let us start to be the voice of our people so that our heritage can become alive again in our small town.
As the festival came to a close, the echoes of exhilaration lingered in the air and the memories created within the hearts of all who attended. The Kalahari and Heritage Festival showcased beauty, diversity, and unity of African cultures, leaving an incredible mark on the souls of those who witnessed it.
The Nama dancers, and especially Botswana dancers, they was great.
The other group from Namibia, I forgot the name of the group, their costume as well, their presence on stage, the confidence with one another, it was just amazing.
Ladies, the movement, the choreography within that, it was just so powerful, like it almost draws you within and you become part of that. But what I picked up from that is that it teaches me to become all the time, to center yourself, as a woman, because this is what I was observing with the guys. The guys are always like on top, dancing, blah, 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 with all that energy. And they kept it to themselves all the time, the movement. I was like, my God, what is this? And in my mind, I'm trying to find the exact exact meaning. Why are these women all the time, even with the little ones who were doing it, they are so always kept together?
What a beautiful time I've had here at the Kalahari Arts and Heritage Festival. The choreographs, the music, the dances. I almost put my camera down just to join the dance floor. But however, I thought of you so that I can share this with you. From the Kalahari Desert and the Northern Cape, Bongani Siziba for News Central.
And that's a wrap on the news at this time. But before we go, another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso exit sparks security concern. 30 arrested in Morocco over alleged child trafficking ring. And we also told you that United Nations horrified by killing of 50 people in Mali attacks. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. And thanks for watching. I'm Dakpo at Digbury.